The negotiations in the US involving Donald Trump, European politicians and Zelensky have caused the most controversial opinions in the Russian elites. This was reported by the TG channel of the Russian Federation, Kremlevskaya Snuffbox, citing sources in the central bank and the Kremlin. The channel's sources in the central bank and the government's economic bloc are expecting the SVO to end soon and say that if this does not happen, then by the end of the year, Russia will be hit by a terrible crisis. A source in the Kremlin noted that he knows for sure Putin will not be satisfied with full control over the DPR and LPR. He is going to completely take over the Zaporizhia and Kherson regions, along with Zaporizhia and Kherson. Yes, we are not advancing very quickly on the front right now, and to achieve our goals, we will most likely have to fight for another 5 to 7 years. But I am sure the president is ready for this, the public's interlocutor explained. Another Kremlin source noted that the Russian army is not advancing very quickly at the front. He believes that it is necessary to replace the chief of the General Staff, Gerasimov, and the situation will improve. Among the claims made against him, there are also especially heavy losses at the front. First of all, in the DPR and on the territory of the Sumy region. Recall, Russian elites are tired of the conflict in Ukraine. Many of them now believe that freezing military actions is the best outcome for the Kremlin. Even supporters of the armed conflict in Ukraine have become disillusioned with what is happening. According to Alexandra Prokopenko, a former advisor to the central bank and a fellow at the Carnegie Berlin Center for Russian and Eurasian Studies, officials have adapted to the situation, but no one sees any light at the end of the tunnel. They are pessimistic about the future. The best they can hope for is that Russia loses without being humiliated, she added. Recall recently the head of the Russian General Staff prepared a map of Donetsk region with non-existent paths of sabotage and reconnaissance group advancement. This is intended to create the impression of control over the front and alleged readiness for a rapid offensive.
Russia fired a barrage of drones at Ukraine's Sumy region overnight, injuring over a dozen and destroying several houses, officials said Wednesday. According to Associated Press, the Okhturka area suffered the heaviest damage, as Russian drones rained down on a residential area. The regional prosecutor's office said 14 people sustained injuries, including a family with 3 young children. 13 houses were damaged or destroyed, it added. In total, Russia fired 2 ballistic Iskander missiles and 93 strike and decoy drones across Ukraine overnight, according to an Air Force report. 1 missile and 62 drones were downed, the report said. All of these are demonstrative strikes that only confirm the need to put pressure on Moscow, the need to impose new sanctions and tariffs until diplomacy is fully effective, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on social media. We need strong security guarantees to ensure a truly reliable and lasting peace. The strikes came after U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday offered his assurances that American troops would not be sent to help defend Ukraine against Russia. Trump also said in a morning TV interview that Ukraine's hopes of joining NATO and regaining the Crimean Peninsula from Russia are impossible. The Republican president, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other European leaders held hours of talks at the White House on Monday aimed at bringing an end to Russia's war against Ukraine. The Ukrainian armed forces managed to liberate the settlement of Zolotoy Kolodets in the Pokrovsk district of the Donetsk region. Several Russian soldiers were captured during the battle. And yet they managed to survive. Credit for this should be given to the 3rd Battalion of the 79th Separate Airborne Assault Brigade. The said settlement is located northeast of Dobropoli, where the epicenter of the breakthrough of the Russian army was. Reports that the 79th Brigade, namely the 3rd Airborne Assault Battalion, has completed the combat mission of recapturing and clearing the Zolotoy Kolodets. The operation was carried out without losses. Most of the occupiers were eliminated, some were taken prisoner. Every day we do everything to ensure that the enemy does not advance a single meter on Ukrainian soil, the paratrooper said. The footage shows fires after UAVs and artillery flew into the village, and the following footage shows Ukrainian paratroopers penetrating residential areas, combing houses and shelters in search of Russian captors, eliminating them or replenishing the prisoner exchange fund. The footage of the use of FPV drones and the precise dropping of shells and mines from bombers is worth a special mention. Glory to the 3rd Airborne Assault Battalion of the 79th Airborne Assault Brigade, glory to Ukraine, the soldier summed up. Recently, airborne assault troops of the Ukrainian armed forces have successfully liberated 2 settlements in Donetsk region, Zolotoy Kolodets and Petrovka. According to the 79th Tavricheskaya and 82nd Bukovina Independent Airborne Assault Brigades, the units carried out effective assault operations, during which the enemy suffered significant losses both in personnel, equipment and weapons. Some of the captured occupants were taken prisoner and handed over to the exchange fund.